Oh, yes, I'm back. Back to save this show. You want to talk about camp, Stephen A? Isn't it interesting that you want to talk about camp now after you sent me away to summer camp for the NBA Finals? Didn't return my calls, my postcards, stuck out in the woods for weeks, forced to do arts and crafts every other minute, scared out of my mind by ghost stories while you got to watch Giannis dunking on everybody. It's not fair. It's not fair. You sent me to camp so I wouldn't steal your thunder, steal your job.
I didn't send you to camp because of that. You can never take my job. I sent you to summer camp to learn some discipline, to learn how to respect your elders, maybe even how to build a fire.
Ah, please. All I learned was how to get mosquito bites, that's all. This was easily one of the top 10 worst summers of my life.
Him again? What does he
Are
want?
you serious right now, Stephen A? You're taking credit for the Heat? You?
Hell yeah! They're 4-0 since my essay, baby Stephen A. Why wouldn't I?
Oh, it's convenient to bring up the Heat now, but don't mention everything you got wrong time and time and time again.
I have no recollection of any of that. You're talking crazy, baby Stephen A. There's something wrong with you. You better get to a pediatrician, you baby.
You're wrong. I got it on tape. Again, I got you. Roll the tape.
Look, baby Stephen A., that's in the past, okay? That's in the past. Call me Stephen A. McGuire because I don't want to talk about the past. I want to talk about this is how I inspired the Miami Heat this week. I inspired them. That's what we talk about, not the past. Not the past.
I want to talk about the past. I want to talk about the past. I do. Did you see this tweet from random college athletes? Over 25,000 likes. Is that really you from the past? You are a college athlete? You? I'm really going to look like that when I grow up? Oh, I'm going to be sick. I'm already sick.
Yes, baby Stephen A., yes, I was a college athlete. I got some game, believe it or not, and I'll prove it to you. Stick around for the end of the show. I hit a jump right in your stupid baby face.
Oh, you better believe I'm going to stick around and see you embarrass yourself. I'll be right here watching you embarrass yourself. You can book it. Watch, you're going to embarrass yourself.
Let me show you.
Deal at about $70 million. A 3-year deal at about $100 million. You just never know with the money that's out there where he could end up. But assuming that he stays put, even though I expect Phoenix to make some noise because I believe in them, I just think that the West is getting stronger and stronger. Kawhi's probably going to stay with the Clippers. Unless that changes, they'll be formidable. We know that we believe the Suns would have lost to them if Kawhi had not gotten hurt. Anthony Davis and LeBron James will be back. We don't know where Damian Lillard's going to be moved to. Klay Thompson is expected to be back healthy. And you know, him and Steph will be there as well. Plus, they got 2 first-round picks, 2 top 15 picks in the upcoming NBA draft. And so I look at all of those things and I just say to myself, you know, to be 36 years of age, to be the best player on the court for the Phoenix Suns last night, to be in your 16th year, to be this close, and for this opportunity to slip through your fingers, you just found yourself thinking that this was CP3's lone chance, because I just brought up the West. I didn't bring up Brooklyn in the East. I didn't bring up Milwaukee in the East. I didn't bring up Philly in the East. I didn't bring up Atlanta in the East. Who knows who could end up in Miami? I didn't bring that up. I just think that it's too much of a daunting task to expect that at this point in time in his career, that there's another opportunity laying down the road for CP3. I think it came and it went last night.
Yeah, probably. But you have to acknowledge, given how long guys are playing nowadays, given how well Chris Paul played this year, and given the fact that he could always ring chase, although Giannis boxed these dudes with what he said last night, like it's going to be a little bit harder for them to save face ring chasing now. But given that he could purchase it, he could say, all right, I'm going to take a little less money and go, or a lot less money and go join the Lakers, for example. But his championship window has closed with this Suns team, and in a larger way has probably closed. In other words, I don't think Chris Paul's future is one in which he is one of, let's say, the 2 best players on a championship team. If you hang around long enough, you can be a nice addition to a team that will win a championship without being the best or maybe not the second best player on the team eventually. You pointed it out in the Western Conference. Golden State is going to be back next year to what they were pre-Durant, which is not what they were with Durant, but it was pretty damn good. It was great, in fact. The Lakers, if AD and LeBron stays healthy, I still like them better than everyone else. I don't think Kawhi is going to be there next year, given the nature of his injury, at least not as Kawhi Leonard until maybe later in the season, maybe not even then. Time will tell, but we don't even need to talk about the Clippers. Jamal Murray with the Nuggets, that's a whole lot, guys. Nuggets keep getting better. The Utah Jazz, if they stay healthy. The reason they had such a golden opportunity this year is because they were the healthiest team in the Western Conference. AD went down, LeBron was compromised, but AD went down, Jamal Murray wasn't there, and then Kawhi went down. He didn't play against them. That's why they got out of the West. This was Chris Paul's shot. That's why I thought so much of his legacy was riding on his play in games 5 and 6 to get to a game 7. And that's why I was rooting for him so hard, and I'm so disappointed today and sad for him. Guys, he could still wind up with a ring. But we all know what we mean when we say, like, he won a ring. We mean when he was a great, great player, when he had a team and was in the nucleus of the best players on the team. And I think that ship has sailed unless he really hardcore ring chases this upcoming season.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. It all depends on what CP3 wants, right? I think that window is still open. And it all depends on what direction he want to go. Is he about his money, or he's about going get trying to get an actual ring? And Max, one thing I do agree with you on, he's not a first or second option guy right now. We saw that not going deep into the playoffs. He could get you through the regular season. He's a third option guy when it comes down to winning the championship. And I think, if he consider maybe join the Los Angeles Lakers, I think then that ups his chances. When you look at the Western Conference right now, you mentioned Jamal Murray. He's coming off an ACL injury. And as a guy that came off an ACL injury, yes, you are able to get back on the court 7 months later, but you're not at your full strength 100% from where you were till like 21 months later. And these are facts. And so when you look at the Western Conference and when you look at Kawhi Leonard possibly being out for the entire season, the West is really wide open. And the Lakers still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis and still could add pieces. You add a CP3 to that team, I think they'll be a heavy favorite to coming out of the Western Conference. And then after that, you let the chips fall where they may. You could rely on the healthy Anthony Davis. We saw what he was capable of doing when he was healthy, when he helped lead the Los Angeles Lakers to a championship, the type of numbers he was putting up during that run. So I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that the window is closed for CP3. It's on CP3 what's next for him and what he wants for us towards the end of his career, because Gary Payton won the championship late in his career when we thought the window had closed when he went down to South Beach.
Well, I will tell you this. Gary Payton was a contributor, but we rarely ever acknowledge Gary Payton as a champion. And that's not to take anything away from him. It's just that the Gary Payton that we saw in Miami, the Gary Payton that we saw in L.A. was not the Gary Payton we saw in Seattle. The glove that'll put you in lockdown mode and was clearly the star of that franchise along with Sean Kemp. So I get where you're coming from, Perk, but I would tell you this. Another component that we can't ignore is where Damian Lillard is going to end up, because obviously that could be another roadblock for CP3 as well, depending on where Damian Lillard ends up going, particularly if he stays in the Western Conference. In the end, what it comes down to is that there's nothing wrong with CP3 not being a 1 or 2 option, because as a quintessential point guard, he really isn't supposed to be anyway. He's supposed to be the guy that sets up opportunities for other guys so they can shine as 1 and 2